My story begins when I was walking home through the deserted industrial district. The city lights a hazy smear against the night sky. The air was thick with the smell of rain and rust, and a deep exhaustion weighed me down. A puddle had formed in a crack in the pavement, and as I approached, I saw the perfect silver sliver of the moon reflected in it. The image was sharp and clear in the rippling water. I stopped, staring into that tiny piece of sky on the ground. Something about it felt familiar, tugging at a memory I couldn't quite grasp. Then a shadow detached itself from the corner of a derelict warehouse. It moved with a strange fluidity, and for a split second, it looked like a cat with two tails. I let out a quiet, tired chuckle. Maybe something weird was just what I needed to break the monotony of my life. Suddenly, two jagged bolts of violet lightning tore through the sky, striking the ground somewhere in the distance with a deafening crack. The world flashed white for an instant. The sky opened up immediately, and a torrential downpour began. The sound was a roar, blurring everything into a gray wall of water. My clothes were soaked through in seconds. I broke into a desperate run, searching for any kind of shelter from the sudden storm. Up ahead, I saw the immense concrete form of a bridge crossing the river. It was massive, a dark promise of shelter. My heart pounded with a new kind of fear. A place like that, this late at night, was probably crawling with creeps and junkies. Wiping my eyes with a wet hand did nothing to help me see. Blinded by the rain, I sprinted down the slick, muddy path leading to the riverbank. I stumbled from the mud onto slippery concrete, my arms flailing wildly as I fought to keep my balance. For a moment, I thought I was going to fall. Finally steady, I took slow, careful steps into the deep darkness under the bridge. The roar of the rain was instantly muffled, replaced by an echoing drip. It was only then that I noticed I was trembling uncontrollably from the cold. My teeth chattered, the sound loud in the sudden quiet. A small puddle quickly formed at my feet from my drenched clothes. I scanned the darkness, but there was no one else here. I was alone with the rushing river and the murmur of the storm outside. I rubbed my hands together, trying to generate some warmth. This place was spooky. Looking up, I could just make out thick, ancient cobwebs hanging from the rough concrete ceiling like frozen parachutes. A huge shadow swept across the concrete wall as a car drove over the bridge above me, the sound a low rumble. I flinched, my nerves on edge. These intense downpours never last long, I told myself. I just had to wait it out. 5 minutes later, the roar of the rain finally softened to a drizzle, and then stopped. The sudden silence was almost as loud as the storm had been. My head lifted slightly as I saw a strange movement on the opposite riverbank. A flicker of motion in the deep shadows. My heart seized in my chest. I stared, trying to make out what it was, hoping it was just another person who had been sheltering from the storm. A distant, hunched silhouette became visible against the darkness. It looked human enough, just walking towards the road on the other side. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. It was just a person. Then it stopped and turned its head, looking directly at me across the water. Its eyes flared to life like neon signs in the dark. One was a deep, oceanic blue, the other a sickening, toxic green. That inhuman gaze pierced right through me. My mind screamed, "Run!" But my body was locked in place, completely paralyzed. The creature moved with horrifying speed, scrambling up the concrete support on the far side like a giant spider. It was impossibly fast. It scurried across the uneven ceiling of the underpass, moving in great, silent leaps over the rushing river below. It was coming for me. I had lost my only chance to escape. It was almost on top of me. It stopped right in front of me, suspended from the ceiling, just staring. The silence was absolute. After a long moment, the creature made a strange sound, like a low, deep whistle. Instantly, 2 more of them erupted from the dark water of the river, surrounding me on the concrete bank. There was no way out. Up close, there was no mistaking them for human. They had long, slender fingers tipped with blade-sharp claws. Their skin was as rough and black as coal, and gleaming white fangs protruded from their mouths. I was prey, but they didn't attack. They just stood there, watching me with those terrifying, mismatched eyes. The one on the ceiling dropped silently to the ground, landing beside the other two. The smallest of them then nodded at me, a disturbingly human gesture. I didn't think I had a choice. I took one hesitant step forward. They turned and led the way, moving with an eerie silence. I followed, my mind reeling. I was terrified, but also strangely excited. For the first time in years, something was actually happening. My thoughts raced. Maybe this was connected to the nuclear accident upstate 7 years ago. Mutated animals, strange births, but nothing like this. Suddenly, two of the creatures stopped and held out their clawed hands towards me. I didn't know what to expect, but I was sure they weren't going to kill me. Not yet. I gingerly placed my hands in theirs. Their skin felt rough, almost sharp, but their grip was firm. Then they jumped. They launched us unimaginably high and far, soaring over the river and into the wooded park nearby. The wind rushed past me, a cool, sweeping breeze. For a moment, I felt completely and utterly free. We landed in the woods as softly as falling leaves. Their feet seemed to sink slightly into the earth, like they were ghosts. My new companions, my ghosts, ran through the trees like lightning, leaving bizarre light trails in their wake. I followed, keeping pace with them easily. My senses sharpened. The moonlight seemed as bright as a searchlight, and I could hear every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig. As we ran, I began to see more of them. Dozens of pairs of glowing eyes watched from the darkness of the woods. We abruptly stopped in a large circular clearing. The other ghosts gathered around us, forming a silent congregation. They all joined hands, forming a great circle. Then, as one, they looked up at the full moon shining brightly above. The ghosts began to move in a slow, undulating dance, swirling like smoke. I was swept up in it, my body moving without my command. I felt an incredible sense of unity with the night, with these strange beings. It was the happiest, most fulfilled I had ever felt in my life. The moon seemed to grow larger, closer. I felt I could reach out and touch it, just like the ghosts swirling around me. Just as I felt the soft touch of the sky, a searing pain shot through my entire body. It kicked me out of heaven and plunged me into hell. I looked down. Terror gripped me as I saw the ghosts, my beautiful ghosts, tearing at my skin with their fangs. They bared their gleaming fangs at me, dark blood dripping from them, and continued their feast. A scream was trapped in my throat. I couldn't move, couldn't make a sound. All I could do was watch as they ate me alive. The smallest one gnawed furiously on my arm, the sound of my bones shattering echoing in my skull. The first one I met, the one with the blue and green eyes, was devouring my legs, its face drenched in my blood. Every bite sent waves of unbearable pain through me. I kept thinking I would die, but somehow I stayed alive, trapped in my own terror. My vision fogged over. The puddle of blood beneath me grew larger and darker. The pain was so intense it became a numb, throbbing void. I couldn't even draw a breath. This was the end, almost. The smallest creature lifted its head and opened its jaws right in front of my face. Its slimy saliva, mixed with my own blood, dripped onto my cheek. Kai, I ill me. I suddenly managed to choke out in a hoarse scream. Instead of a quick end, it moved slowly, deliberately. Its face came closer, an eternity in a second. Then it ripped part of my face away. The pain was infernal, a white-hot agony that tore apart everything I was. Every single moment stretched into an unbearable eternity of torture. And then finally, after one last wave of pain, a moment of bliss, I passed away. The ghosts stood back, their meal finished. They were no longer frenzied, but calm and silent as they had been at the start. The first creature, the leader, knelt down. It gently closed my now empty eyes with one of its clawed fingers. Then, one by one, they turned and melted back into the trees, their glowing eyes winking out in the darkness. The clearing was empty again. silent except for the gentle rustle of leaves. The moon shone down, illuminating the disturbed earth. The first rays of dawn began to pierce the darkness. The horrors of the night retreated, leaving behind only a cold, quiet morning.